This video is for first grade lesson 12 and I'll be going over some of the problems from each section. So the first section is about count, and for this page you just have to count the amount of object or people you see from each picture and write that down as the answer. So let's look at number 1. It asks how many children do you see? So for this question you just have to count the children. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. We see 7 children playing on the playground. Now let's count. Let's do number 3. How many desks do you see? And count the amount of desks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We see 5 desks. Now let's move on to the next page. Addition and subtraction. And because there are several ways and methods to solve addition and subtraction problem, I'll introduce a few of them. So the first one is 3 plus 4, and I'll be using a step method to solve this question. So starting with 3, I'll move 1, 2, 3 steps to the right, because that's adding 4, and after that I'll just count 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the answer for number 1 is 7. Similarly, we can do number 6 as an example. Now this is adding 3 numbers, but it works the same as number 1. So let's start with writing the number 4 down and move 1, 2, 3 steps to the right, and count 5, 4, 5, 6, 7. And from here, you have to add 6 more because it says plus 6. And so I'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more, adding 6, and count again. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. So the answer for number 6 will be 13. Now moving on to subtraction problem. Let's try number 8. It says 5 minus 1. And for this one, we can use circles and subtracting. So what we'll do is first circle. There will be 5 circles, and you'll subtract 1 and see how many are left. There are 4 left, so the answer for number 8 will be 4. You can also use steps for subtraction questions, and I'll show that by doing number 14. Number 14 says 7 minus 2, and we can start by writing 7 down. And for subtraction, you have to go to the left and count backward because you're subtracting, not adding. So you're going backward. And if you do 7 and move twice, that will be 7, 6, 5, and the answer for number 14 will be 5. Now let's move on to comparing. So let's look at number 1. It asks, is 7 closer to 0 or 10? So let me do a number line. 0 and 10. In the middle is 5, and we can fill it in with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And what we're doing right now is we're looking at this number 7 and looking at if it's closer to 0 or 10. 7 is 1, 1, 2, 3 steps away from 10, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 steps away from 0. So we can say that 7 is closer to 10. Now let's look at number 10. Number 10. And for this one, we have to see which one is bigger, 11 or 11. And we can't really decide which one's bigger because 11 is equal to 11. So we'll put that they are equal. Instead, let's try number 12. Number 12 says 17 or 13. So when you look at 17 and 13, and look at the tens place, because you have to look at the greatest value when you're comparing the numbers, we see that they are both 1, so they're equal to each other. So after we know that the greatest value is the same value, has the same value, we are now going to move on to the smaller values. So for 17 and 13, we'll compare 7 and 3. We know that 7 is greater than 3, so we'll say that 17 is bigger. Now we're moving on to the last section of this worksheet, which is the word problem. And what we'll do is number 1. Allison and her younger brother Patrick go on a trick-or-treat. Both Allison and Patrick get 28 candies by the time they go back to their house. How many candies do they get in total? So both Allison and Patrick get 28 candies. So and we have to get the total amounts that they got. So we'll have to do 28 plus 28 to get the answer. And if you do that, we'll start by adding the 8 and 8 together. So when you do that, 8 plus 8 is equal to 16. So we'll put down the ones place, which is 6, under 8, and the tens place, which is 1, on top of where the other tens places are. And after this, we'll add 1, 2, and 2. So 1 plus 2 plus 2. 1 plus 2 is equal to 3, and 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. So we'll have 56. So the answer for number 1 will be 56 candies in total.